Okay, so the second page of our classwork today has this worksheet here, and it says f of x, find all the zeros f of x in 2x to the third power minus 11x squared plus 17x minus 6. However, though, if you'll notice, they didn't give us any factors here. And you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use your calculator. Now, if you have a graphing calculator, you can go get it now. If you don't have a graphing calculator, then you're just going to have to watch. I know that I have the graphing calculator app on my phone as well, but it doesn't have the app on it that I need in order to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get the zeros or the roots without synthetic division, but using your calculator. You may say, well, Miss Jones, why didn't you show that to me in the first place? Because, you know, we always want you to know how to do this mathematically. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to turn on the calculator here. Let me just clear it out. And go to your y equals function. Second quit. Okay. So go to your y equals function, which is right here. Okay, now if you'll notice, I don't have it typed in yet, but I'm going to type it in now. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the 2, well, let me just clear it out. Okay, 2x, and then we're going to raise that to the third power. Be sure and right arrow out of that exponent, minus 11x, and then minus 6. Okay, so there is the equation, and no, I left something out. It should be plus 17x and minus 6. There. Okay, so now I think I have it right. Yeah, it doesn't show the whole thing, but anyway, it's there. So now what I'm going to do, if you'll see there's a purple apps button, I'm going to hit that apps button, and if you'll see, it has all these different apps. Now, the ones in my classroom have this app. It's called PolySolver is what it is. And if you have your graphing calculator, you can look and see if you have it. If you don't, you can actually download it, but it's easier to do it in class. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to do this at home if you don't have a graphing calculator. But if I give you enough roots to get to a squared function, then you can do it. And there is also another way we can do it, and I'll show you with number 2. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the calculator way, because if you have a graphing calculator, you can do it. So now I'm going to hit 9. Okay, and if you'll see here, it's going to bring it up, Polyroot Finder and Simulator. All right, so it says to hit any key, so I'm just going to hit enter. It doesn't matter. And if you'll look, we want to go to Polyroot Finder because that's number 1, because that's what we want to do. Now, across the top it says order, and what you're going to do is you're going to choose the number that corresponds with your highest exponent. In this case, it is 3. Okay, so 3's already chosen. It's going to be real. It's not going to be complex. Here it's saying, do you want your answer decimal? We're just going to keep fraction, and we're in degree. So right here where it says next, I'm just going to hit the graph button to indicate that I want it to go to the next page. So now I've already got it typed in, but it's saying A3 is 2 because that's your x cubed. Then A2 is negative 11 because that's your x squared, the coefficient of your x squared. Then A1 is 17 because your coefficient of x to the first power is 17. And lastly, our constant of negative 6. And then we're just going to hit solve. And there it is. There are my roots. X equals 3, x equals 2, and x equals 1/2. So if you'll see here, I went ahead and wrote that out. And if we want to look at our graph, I guess I took it out of this so I can't quit. And then go to graph. We're going to see that our graph is crossing. Actually, it's going to be very hard to see. Let's see here if it's in correctly. Yep. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is hit zoom. This is probably not gonna cooperate, but we're gonna try to get it to fit. Okay, let me try this. Zoom. I'm gonna go to 0, which will fit your graph. There we go. So it's kind of hard to see this graph like this, but actually what it is doing, it is crossing the x-axis here. Now, it told us to also sketch our graph. And so what I did is I drew the graph and I drew points 1, 2, and 3. And I went ahead and drew a dot at 1/2, at 2, and 3. But I needed to recall how to graph an odd function. And the reason why we're going to say it's odd, or it's a positive odd function, because our exponent is 3. So if we'll pull this up, you will see an odd degree. So we have an odd degree function because my highest degree is 3. We see that it's going to be left tail down and right tail up. So I'm going to come over here and look, left tail down and right tail up. So that's how I knew to graph it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to kind of give it a rough sketch. Now, I did send this to you, and it's on the website. It is also on on your Google Classroom as well.